want. It's Jalen and Jacoby.
I'm David Jacoby, in for Jalen Rose. Repeat guest here at Jalen Jacoby, Anita Marks. How are you, Anita?
I'm great. And I have to say, like, every time I'm on your show, all my friends and people in the industry are like, God, they love you. I'm like,
we say nice things about you.
I'm like, yeah, they actually, like, they really, really like me.
Really? Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're here.
I love that I'm here today.
I'm really glad that you're here. One of the things that you cover heavily is the New York Football Giants. And guess what? There's some Giants news to start with.
I know.
This is never a good sign when the owner of the team says something like this. We have John Mara and Steve Tisch saying, quote, Ben McAdoo is our head coach and has our support.
Yeah, I think that's what they have to say. Because you know what? Listen, it is the Giant way. Willington Mara, John Mara's father. I mean, this is the way that the organization operates. And this is, and with all due respect, I mean, in honesty, this is why they have so much respect in and around the NFL, is because this is how they operate. And so I get it. Now, I do believe that there will be changes made at the end of the season.
No, you don't think McAdoo's going to be the head coach next year?
Come on.
What?
Come on.
Do you think they should consider?
Come on. How can anyone survive this? I said this on Sports Nation. I hate talking about people losing their jobs.
Sure.
It's the worst thing to talk about because it's not just Ben McAdoo. It's an entire coaching staff. So I hate to talk about it, but I don't know how someone survives what has happened here. And also, I don't believe this is the wisest decision. I think based on what's happening in that locker room, there's so much, it's such dysfunction happening. The New York media is, I mean, there is blood in the water, and there are sharks in that locker room right now, and all they want to talk about is the players that are turning on Ben McAdoo. That's the topic. How can a team seriously concentrate and prepare for an opponent each and every week when the topic of discussion is how much the team in the locker room has turned on their coach? And you've got Ben McAdoo who's calling it fake news. Well, you've got Josina Anderson, who every day is getting text messages from players in that locker room who are telling her
real news.
It's real news.
So here's the question: is we are in agreement that he will not be the head coach next season, right? So should there be some consideration to perhaps? I know it's not the Giant way, but just saying, you know what? We're going to have this interim head coach now, and Ben McAdoo is no longer the head coach.
Spagnuolo, who really, in my opinion, Spags, he should come in. He's the defensive coordinator right now. He's been a head coach before with the Rams. We've seen him be the head coach for the Rams before. I really think that a changing of the guard needs to happen now, and not to say that Spags should be the head coach moving forward, okay? Who knows? Maybe they send the Saints a draft pick for Sean Payton. Sean Payton, part of that Giants family. Again, this is...
Ooh, talk to me. I mean, this.
This is what the Giants like to do. They like to keep it in-house. Jason Garrett, at one point in time, keep in mind, was a part of the Giants organization. Sean Payton. I'm really big on Josh McDaniels, but I think Josh McDaniels is waiting for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to ride off in the sunset with their 6 or 7 Super Bowls, whatever, at the end of the day, that they win. And I think he knows he's the next heir apparent. But I think that's a guy that the Giants should consider going after. But it's so bad. It's so toxic. It's so ugly. And I don't see it getting better unless Ben leaves. And so that's why but I'm saying right now it needs to change. Like they've got Philadelphia coming up. They lost to the San Francisco, an 0-9 San Francisco 49ers. The schedule gets more difficult. It's gonna get uglier as the season progresses.
John and Steve are hanging out, and they say, you know what? I don't know what to do about this. I'm going to call Anita. Let's get on the phone with Anita. Let's conference call Anita. She's around. She knows a lot. Let's get her on the phone, and let's ask her what we should do. Should we fire him midway through the season?
And what would I say? Yeah, I'd say, listen, that locker room is toxic right now. You've got players that are reaching out to media anonymously and telling that media person, who of course is reporting, Josina Anderson on ESPN, how it is. And now what's happened is now there's divide in the locker room, because now you've got Landon Collins and Jonathan Casillas and Snacks Harrison, who are angry and upset of these anonymous players that are communicating this. So now there's dissension in the locker room. And again, winning is the best deodorant. There's Tom's deodorant in there right now, and it doesn't work.
Tom's deodorant does not. We all know Tom's deodorant doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Mark.
Unless they sponsor the show.
Oh, and they don't. Right?
No, they don't.
Okay,
no.
thank you.
No.
So it's going to get worse because this team is going to continue to lose. So I think it's the best interest of this organization, what's going on in that locker room, to move on from Ben right now.
And there's also some news about Roger Goodell's extension. Now, this has been talked about in the last few days, and Jerry Jones gets involved. And now the NFL Compensation Committee has said, Jerry, enough is enough. Like, we'll leave yourself out of this. And reportedly, Goodell asked for the following. I love this so much.
This is so great.
$49.5 million a year. That's American dollars. $49.5 million a year. That's only,
by the way, it's only $9 million more than he's making. He's averaging $40 million.
Everybody wants a bump.
I mean, like, understand where what the bump up is.
We're talking about $9 million. He wants health care for his family for life, forever.
Don't we all?
Sure, love that. Just get that security and a lifetime private plane.
Right.
Soft move or boss move, making this sort of request amidst this environment.
When I negotiate with ESPN, I'm scared to ask for first class.
I love playing for life. That's a ridiculous request.
I'm worried I'm not going to get an ESPN extension if I request first class. This dude's asking
Coach is fine. Coach is fine. As long as you're in the middle seat, you'll be fine. Get the exit row. You're all right.
I think it's comical for us and it's funny for us because we're the average Joe Schmoes.
Sure.
This is a totally different lifestyle. I mean, this is obviously a totally different pay grade, like access and the availability to anything and everything in the world. But listen, I give him credit. Look, it's a boss move.
He also sees the numbers. When you're the commissioner, you see the numbers. You're like, we are making billions of dollars here of profit, so I just want my piece.
To be honest, I just want to be his agent. I mean,
I like it. I like the plane for life.
10%.
But when it got later in the negotiation, I'd be like, I also want my own logo on the plane. I want a decal, and I want to pick my pilot.
I think the big. I mean, we're having fun in regard to like what monetarily he's making, but I think the big issue here is, you've messed up on so many domestic violence in the NFL, a number of things that in his tenure have gone wrong, and then now you're coming in with a boss move and negotiating.
Johns is involved. It's not like things are going great. When things are going great, you can ask for this sort of a thing.
Exactly.
But when the very foundation of the business, which is television ratings, are going down,
it's
hard for your salary and compensation to go up.
The whole national anthem issue, a big reason why. Listen, I play golf a lot in the summer, and I'd say 60 to 70% of the guys that I play golf with have all said to me, I'm not watching. I love the NFL. I'm not watching. Why? Because they find the whole anthem issue very anti-patriotic, and it's been a turnoff. And so ratings, all these things, all these negatives that have happened under his tenure, and he wants his own plane.
Listen, I just want to say thank you so much for coming by and being on Jalen Jacoby. And I also want to say, next time you're in town, come golf with me. You know what I mean? We'll get a new perspective. We'll get a new perspective.
What's your handicap?
I'm a terrible golfer, but my handicap is like 7 beers a round.
Okay. All right.
Thanks so much for coming. When we come back, Ramona Shelburne will be joining us.
I love Ramona.
Me too. She'll be back with us. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. We want to thank Anita Marks for coming by. Right now, we have Ramona Shelburne.
Swapping one blonde for another, right?
Yes. Ramona, do you remember the Celtics when they were 0-2 and they lost Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, and it was so sad.
And it was just so sad, and I felt bad for sad Brad Stevens there on the sideline. Well, now they are winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. 12 straight. They've won the last 2 games without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. How do you make sense of this? How long do you think it will continue?
I think it will continue until Thursday when they lose to the Warriors. But for right now, it's a really nice story.
It is. We'll enjoy it for half of a week.
For half of a week. Because I think Golden State's going to go in there and say, okay, we're still the Warriors. I know we lost a few games early.
They dial up and down at will. I've noticed that about that team.
Golden State's
they dial
the
up
C
and down
student
at will.
who has who can get the A on any test they want if they study.
How did you get 1,500 on the SATs?
Yes.
And exactly.
That's Golden State. So they'll go in there. It's Boston. They want to assert that they can beat anybody, any place, and it gets their attention. They'll be motivated, I think, and they match up well. One of the things the Celtics have been doing this year, I think, is just defensively. They've got all these young dudes who are really long, which is something we've heard before with the Warriors, right? They're one of those teams that everybody now is derivative of the Warriors. You're looking at how to beat Golden State. So when the Warriors stand arm to arm, they're really long and nobody can get through, and so everybody looks at that and says, okay, we need guys like that too. And you got young guys like Rozier and Jalen Brown and Jason Tate. Like they're stepping up defensively, which is how you can win without your stars when they go down.
Mm-hmm. Would you consider them to be the favorite to come out of the East?
Nope.
Me neither.
Still going with Cavs. I'm still there.
I'm so not concerned about the Cavs.
I know, me neither. Like, I want to like sound the alarm bells and all that. Like, I can make a case. I can play that part and say they're the oldest team in the league.
But why?
I can say they don't have the same team around them. Like Isaiah Thomas is not. If he comes back, like maybe he's not the same guy. How much can you count on him? LeBron needs another playmaker alongside of him. If Isaiah is there, I could do that. I could get you all riled up. I could make the Cavs are doomed case, but I don't believe it.
We all know LiAngelo Ball and a gentleman named Jalen.
Okay.
And Cody Riley were in China. They stole some Louis Vuitton sunglasses.
Right.
I have a lot of questions about this, but we'll table that for a second. Was it one pair? Was it 3 pairs? They're going to share the pair? How does this all work?
I think there were other stores, too. Like, from the latest Arash Markazi reporting was that there were 3 different stores. And there was, like, multiple things going on. Yeah, like, there's footage of them.
It's coordinated.
And we all have to say allegedly. Okay, we have to do that every time we do that, so that's the journalistic check here. But there's a reason why they're still under house arrest there, and the team is home.
You mentioned Arash. He's also reporting that while in China, the president of the United States pulled the president of China to the side,
put his arm around him,
and was just like, hey, man, can you help me out with this ball thing? I'm a big fan of the Big Baller brand.
You know what? If this ends up with Donald Trump and LeVar Ball at a press conference, I'm done.
Need that.
I'm done.
We need that. Do we need that?
I think we do.
I don't think we need that.
I need that.
Can Dennis Rodman be there? Can we get Dennis Rodman involved?
Well, there is North Korea involved, right? Like, that could happen. Like, Dennis Rodman could be there brokering nuclear treaties with North Korea.
And then, Trump could be there brokering LiAngelo Ball.
Yeah. Look,
somehow.
Here's what, have you been to China?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand how much of what's going on here is about respect, right? It looks from the footage, from what we've been reading, even though this is all an allegation at this point, they haven't been charged, it looks like they did it, okay? So it looks like there's footage of them stealing stuff from Chinese stores. And this
We're
is stuff
on it late at night. We can say they did it.
We can say that.
Yeah,
okay.
they did it.
So that's disrespectful. In that culture, that is very disrespectful. To come into somebody else's country and in their stores and take things that you don't need. Okay, take them for the sake of taking them. And a lot of people in China are already sensitive to that. I've made a few calls on it and finding out what's really going on. And I think a lot of this is just political. Like, they're probably going to get out and they're probably going to go home.
Yes.
And the question is UCLA going to suspend them?
Yeah, I love that they could face up to 10 years. Like, they're not going to do 10 years in jail,
no.
but they're going to have 10 years in jail threatened to them, and they're going to be told how serious this is. But eventually they will be playing basketball for,
I think people in China have this sense that, one, they're being treated by different rules than a regular Chinese citizen who did something like this. They'd already be in jail. Okay,
that's right.
That has to be massaged, right? But they need to, like LeVar saying the first day, I think Arash got him on camera saying it's not a big deal. Yeah. That did not go over very well. And I think this is really all about respect. And so if there's a way to massage this and make the messaging work for China and the Chinese authorities, they'll be home. If there isn't, it might be their minute.
Well, Urban Magic Johnson was on Mike and Mike. And he was talking about the other Ball brother, the one that actually plays in the NBA. And here's what he had to say. I love Magic saying, we don't know what it is about your shot that's not working. I can't imagine it might be the fact that you shoot it from the other side of your body next to your face. Yeah. But so, we don't know. We don't know.
I'm super well versed in the history of this Lonzo Ball shot, okay? And I know too much about it was just an adaptation, an evolutionary adaptation, right?
Sure.
Lakers had another workout with him, and he went through and he met Magic and Rob Pelinka went out to before.
As did Larry Bird, one of the best shooters of all time.
One of the best shooters of all time. Okay, but his was way up here. But like, he needed to look at it for himself and say, can he get that shot off in the NBA? And after he saw him the second time, he felt confident that he could get. He is anyway.
Exactly. He does everything else.
And he does everything else, and he's really aggressive, and he's 6'10". So Lonzo being 6'6" really helps. And I think they feel that if he's just aggressive and he goes to the hoop and he can hit that little floater in the mid-range game, like they can live with him having that funky shot, and eventually once he starts getting a little confidence closer to the rim, he'll be better on the outside.
Well, what I heard was we're going to completely change it this summer. We're going to let him have his rookie year with this bad shot. That's kind of what I heard when I was listening to that. I'm like,
yeah.
Stick around here on Jalen Jacoby. Ramona will stick around, and coming up next, we've been out funnied by the Canadians once again.
That's not supposed to happen.
Happens all the time.
Canadians are funny?
They are.
When?
I'll show you after this. Tony Parker. Not from. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby. Ramona Shelburne in for Jalen Rose. Ramona, when they relaxed the NFL celebration rule, I was really excited for this. And I have to say, I've been very disappointed this season. There has been very few noteworthy or even semi-entertaining celebrations in the National Football League. And then we were outdone by the Canadians in the CFL. Take a look at this. They're playing limbo with a human being after a touchdown. You should get extra points. Do you get extra points for that?
I think that was really good.
You should definitely get extra points for that. Do you think that we've been out-celebrated by the Canadians up north?
I like what the Chiefs did. Remember, like the beanbag race?
The potato sack race.
Potato sack race or whatever. It was pretty good.
Right.
But that was solid. Like, you have to do that quickly.
I enjoyed that.
You can't just, like, get into the limbo thing and, like, they practiced that.
I also had high hopes for the Los Angeles Clippers this year.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Why, just to go the other way, Zig, when others are zagging, or what?
They won 4 straight to start the season.
They do that in the beginning
of years. Things were going good, and now they are absolutely terrible. What is happening with the Clippers?
Patrick Beverley's hurt, Teodosic's hurt, Gallo's been a little hurt, and like when they don't have any margin for error with those guys. Plus, all those dudes like got traded as in the sort of grab bag trade, right? Like, here's how we're going to make all the salaries match, and like it's hard to build something when you have guys who just got here, weren't signed here, maybe are under contract for a year. Like, it's just hard to go in the same direction.
Well, it's easy to go in the right direction in New York City because all New Yorkers know the easiest way to get around is the subway system.
That's correct.
Don't get in a cab. Don't get an Uber. It's never going to work out for you. And you know who else learned this? The Cleveland Cavaliers. They were told that it was going to be a 45-minute bus ride or a 6-minute train ride. First of all, no train ride is 6 minutes, but whatever. They got lied to.
Yeah.
So they went onto the subway.
It's probably not a 45-minute drive either.
There's LeBron on the subway. They're enjoying it. Kyle Korver's there. Next to him, they got the nice spot next to the door. So you're not in between two people. Dwayne Wade. Everyone's wearing their hoods. Yep. Then there's this guy who's getting filmed, gets upset about it.
I mean...
No, we have now learned this guy's done an interview.
What?
The guy who didn't want to be filmed. Did not know it was LeBron James next to him. Thought it was a college team. He was in his phone. Everyone's in their phone.
And they had
he said it was early on. It was early on in the day. He hadn't had his latte yet. And he didn't want to be filmed. He also said this.
So good.
LeBron James elbowed him 2 or 3 times.
To let him know.
So anyone who's been on the subway is, if you have an elbowy person next to you, it's a problem. So he actually spoke to LeBron James and asked him to stop. And a teammate said, no, it's cool.
No, it's cool. Like, in other words, hey, bro.
That's the dynamic
LeBron.
of the Cavs. Can I read way too much into this? It's like if someone else speaks to LeBron, someone else has to get involved. And
there was a minute there where it looked like LeBron was flirting with the Knicks again. You know, like, we got Porzingis, and right, looked like Phil's gone. They got a nice team.
Ooh, I like what you're doing here.
But that guy just ruined it.
He did.
That guy. It's all his fault. He's like the Bartman of the Knicks.
Stop being such a tourist, Cavs. Stop filming your rides on the subway. I'm just trying to get to work.
LeBron films every ride. guy. Like, do you follow him on IG stories?
Of course, he's in the back of a transit with his own logo in there, and all he does is listen to music, but it's the same thing over and over and over. It's like, I get it. You don't need to just listen to the same song and show me different sections of the same song, LeBron. I get it. You know the
he's
words.
wagging the dog, right? Like, he knows that we have to listen, because every once in a while there might be like a great subtweet in there. He might be throwing shade at somebody. One of those songs might be like Meek Mill, where he's like saying something about Kyrie. Like, he's doing that because he knows we have to watch.
I'm always curious why he's in a car with his headphones on, listening to music.
True.
It's almost like they should invent something that would pump sound throughout the vehicle to surround you with it. That you don't need to put earbuds in.
That is not something I would have thought of, but it's a really good point.
I know.
Okay, I've seen the car. It's a big van.
It's a transit.
Yeah, it's like a big carrier van, so it's not just like a car.
I'm a minivan enthusiast. That's like a
I think it's more than a van. It's more than a van. It's like the Money Team van. It's like
I want to thank you so much for coming by. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Anytime.
We'll be back tomorrow. Jalen and Jacoby.
I'm the only one how good you are at basketball. That's the whole thing.